I rented a haunted house on the cheap. The first night I moved in, the shower turned on all by itself. I yelled at the air, "You gonna pay the water bill, huh?" The water stopped right away. I thought that was just the start. But guess what, the next day, I found 3 dishes and a soup on the dining table. There was a note next to it. Meal fee Y25. My brain was racing to do the math. 3 dishes and a soup, meat and veggies included. It looked super appetizing. A meal like this would cost at least $50 at a restaurant, even if we split the bill. It's only Y25, that's so fucking worth it. I picked up my chopsticks, grabbed a glistening piece of braised pork and popped it in my mouth. It was so good I almost swallowed my tongue. I ate like there was no tomorrow.
While I mumbled complaints to the air.
I was like, "Hey, ghost lady, you're way too stingy. You're dead already, why are you still so petty? Loosen up a little, will you?" The air was dead silent. Only the sound of my chewing. After eating, I let out a satisfied burp. Looking at the greasy bowls and plates, my lazy ass just didn't feel like washing them. I tentatively stacked all the dishes in the sink unwashed, just to test my new roommate's bottom line. The next morning, I was woken up by the soft clinking of pots and pans. I snuck over to the kitchen door and saw all the dishes in the sink were spotlessly clean and stacked neatly in order. There was another note next to them, no blood this time. It was written in regular black ink. Dishwashing fee, Y5 per time. Settle the bill at the end of the month. I laughed out of anger. Hell, this is actually great. I'm Lin Bei. I've lived over 20 years. This is the first time I've met a ghost with such strong principles. My competitive side was fully triggered. "Oh, you want to mess with me, huh? Bring it on." I deliberately put a full garbage bag by the door, blocking half the doorway. "If you're so capable, throw it out for me." Guess what? The garbage bag was gone the next day, and there was a sticky note on the door. "Errand fee, Y10. I worked overtime late one night. Dragged myself home half dead." I fumbled for the light switch in the dark. Suddenly, the living room light turned on by itself. The light was soft, not harsh on the eyes. I felt a sudden warm and tight tingle. Then, a note floated down slowly from the lampshade. "Left the light on for you. Electricity fee extra?" Damn, that warm, fuzzy feeling I just had got completely shattered instantly by the words "electricity fee extra." I rolled my eyes at the ceiling. Days passed in this absurd back-and-forth game, one after another. Gradually, I got to know my ghost roommate's personality. Her name is Liu Ruyan. She's a total neat freak. If I leave my underwear on the floor, that underwear will jump right into the sink on its own. She also has OCD. The books on my bookshelf, if even one of them isn't lined up by height, they will all be perfectly organized the next day. She's an amazing cook, but she holds grudges like crazy. If I complain once that the dish is too salty, she'll make plain boiled tofu for me for 3 straight days. She's also super sassy. I bought a discounted shirt once and tried it on in front of the mirror. On the mirror, a line of words made of steam slowly appeared. Terrible aesthetic. Terrible taste. Your wallet's even worse. I was so mad I jumped up and down, yelled at the air. "None of your business. You cheapskate who still splits the bill even after death." Then the words on the mirror changed to "same to you." Even kind of enjoyed it. At least I never ate instant noodles again, at least in this cold big city. There's someone who leaves the light on for me, even though I have to pay for that light. One day, my only best friend Ji Buchang came to visit me. I told Liu Ruyan in advance. "My buddy is coming over. He's a scaredy cat. Behave yourself today." Got it? A magazine floated up from the table, with big bold OK written on it. The next day, when Ji Buchang walked in, he sniffed dramatically. "Lin Bei, did you strike it rich? Did you hire a maid? This place is way too clean for you. You changed your bad habits finally." As soon as he finished talking, the TV that was playing an action movie suddenly switched to the finance channel. Ji Buchang jumped in fright immediately. "Where's the remote?" Why did the channel change all of a sudden? Probably bad signal. I switched the channel back without changing my expression. We were chatting away. The cup in front of Ji Buchang moved 5 centimeters towards the edge of the table. What the hell? The cup moved on its own. I calmly moved the cup back to its original spot. "Don't be scared, my roommate is a bit mischievous."
But they cook really well.
Ji Buchang stared at me in horror. He looked at me like I was a total psycho. "Lin Bei, are you under too much pressure? Are you having hallucinations?" I let out a sigh. I knew there was no way to explain this. I sent the freaked out Ji Buchang off. I sat on the sofa feeling a little down. Right then, the living room lights dimmed a little and became much softer. I turned to look at the huge floor-to-ceiling window. A tall figure in a red dress, appeared in front of me so clearly for the first time. She was still semi-transparent, like a walking cloud of mist, but I could clearly see her shoulder-length hair. She was meticulously wiping the window I didn't clean properly this morning. Her movements were focused and serious, with an almost obsessive elegance. I suddenly thought, my buddy's worries, and the whole world's misunderstanding didn't matter at all. In this huge city, I finally had a home and a very unique family member. But the good times didn't last long. The cold chill of capitalism still found its way to a regular worker like me. A cold, impersonal email and a few lines of stiff official jargon ended the meager salary I earned. With 2 hours of daily commute, holding a cardboard box, I walked on the crowded street. For the first time, I felt like a piece of discarded trash. When I got home, I buried my head under the quilt. The frustration and unease I had suppressed for so long finally burst out completely at this moment. I cried for who knows how long. Soft, melodic, classical music drifted faintly from the living room. It was my favorite piece, Dvorak's from the New World. I mentioned it once to the air when I was eating, saying this song is so beautiful, it feels like even the hardest days can be gotten through. I sniffled and dragged my heavy feet out of the bedroom. On the dining table was a plate of steaming cola chicken wings. Next to it, a note lay quietly. It only had 2 words on it, on the house. Finally, my tears fell down uncontrollably, not because of grievance, but because of warmth. For the first time, I said seriously to the air, thank you. Liruyan. There seemed to be a very soft sigh in the air. After I finished eating, I turned on my computer and started sending out resumes like crazy. But all the resumes I sent got no responses at all. The few interviews I got all ended with me getting rejected in the final round. Watching my bank account balance decrease every day, anxiety was eating away at my nerves. I started suffering from insomnia night after night. Finally, I received an interview notice from my dream company that I had been longing for. Right after that, I dug out the only formal suit I had stored at the bottom of my closet. On the day of the interview, I woke up very early because I was too nervous. When I bought breakfast at the coffee shop downstairs, my hand shook, and a whole cup of hot Americano spilled all over my shirt. At that moment, I felt like the sky was falling. I ran home in total embarrassment. I felt like I wanted to die. The interview was only an hour away. I had no time to buy a new one at all. Did I have to give up just like that? Right at that moment, I heard a low whir from the bathroom of the washing machine starting up. I froze. I rushed over and saw that coffee-stained shirt tumbling around in the washing machine. 20 minutes later, the washing machine stopped. The dryer function turned on. Another 20 minutes passed. A clean, warm shirt with a faint, nice scent was hung on my bedroom door by an invisible hanger. I stared at the completely refreshed shirt, feeling like I was in a dream. I changed into the shirt, rushed out of the house heading for the subway station, and it was rush hour on the way, watching the time tick by second. I was so anxious I was sweating all over. Just when I was about to turn around to catch the bus, the subway turnstile in front of me suddenly beeped. The green light turned on, and the gate opened automatically. I didn't have time to think twice. I dashed forward right away and ran onto the platform. The doors of the subway I needed to take were slowly closing. Crap, my heart sank. Just as the doors were about to shut completely, it looked like something was stuck in the door gap. A shrill alarm went off, and the door popped open again. I scrambled and squeezed my way onto the train. I was gasping for air hard once I got on. My heart was pounding like crazy. This was all way too coincidental. It was so coincidental it felt like someone was clearing the path for me. I arrived at the company 5 minutes before the interview was supposed to start. Every second I waited for the interviewer in the meeting room was pure torture. After what felt like forever, it was finally my turn. I took a deep breath and walked into the room. 4 interviewers were sitting in a row, with serious expressions on their faces. My palms were sweating so bad from nerves. I had my self-intro all prepared, but my mind went totally blank the second I opened my mouth. My brain just completely froze. Right, when I was so embarrassed that I wanted to crawl into a hole and hide. A black signature pen on the table suddenly rolled right to my hand. I grabbed the pen without thinking. The cold touch of it calmed me down instantly. I looked down. The pen had 2 tiny but clear words carved into it with a knife. Stay calm. I felt totally at ease right away. Those 2 words were like a shot of adrenaline that coursed through my whole body. Good afternoon, all interviewers. My name is Lin Bei. That interview, I did better than I ever had before. A week later, I successfully got the job offer from that company. On my first day of work, I rushed to the supermarket right away and bought a nice bottle of liquor, along with a bunch of fresh ingredients. I got home and cooked a huge feast of dishes, then filled 2 glasses with wine. I lifted one of the glasses. Liu Ruyan, this glass of wine is for you, thank you. My gold medal sidekick? The other wine glass shook slightly,
making a crisp clinking sound.
like it was responding to me. I smiled, but my eyes got wet.
I knew I wasn't alone.
I had an invisible guardian angel. My cohabitation life with Liu Ruyan, after I got the new offer, entered a state of unprecedented harmony. I was in charge of earning money to support the family, and she was in charge of keeping the house neat and organized, and also monitoring my spending with her set of business logic and planning my finances. I even started to enjoy this unique kind of companionship. There's hot food waiting for me when I get home from work every day. Every month when I get paid, I have a finance director to help me make a budget. Every time I run into work problems, on my desk, some related books and materials will always appear out of nowhere. She's like a silent mentor, an all-around housekeeper, a most familiar stranger, but I know nothing about her past. As we got more and more in tune with each other, my curiosity grew stronger and stronger. How exactly did Liu Ruyan die? The vague news report online said she died from accidental gas poisoning, but I always felt something was off. I tried asking her, Liu Ruyan, how exactly did you die? The light in the room flickered once. She seemed like she wanted to say something, but was trapped by some kind of force and couldn't pass the message clearly. The more intense her reaction was, the more suspicious I became. I finally decided to start with this house. I found the real estate agent who rented the apartment to me, Mu Yulu. I arranged to meet him at a nearby restaurant. Under the pretext of asking about renewing the lease, Mu Yulu still had that warm and friendly look on his face. Mr. Lin, are you getting used to living there? That apartment is in a great location, and the layout is really nice too. It's just that something happened there before. Most people can't handle it. I see you look so well, so I knew you'd have no problem with it. It is pretty great. I'm just a little curious. What exactly happened in this apartment before? I looked it up online. There's only a really vague news report saying the owner died in an accident. That's all in the past. Was it really just an accident? Don't overthink it, young man. Just live there comfortably. The feng shui of that apartment is actually pretty good. Look, not long after you moved in, you even got a better job. Your luck is turning around. He skillfully changed the subject and kept telling me not to overthink it during the conversation. His enthusiasm in my eyes had a weird off vibe to it. A normal agent only cares about rent and contracts. Why does he care so much about my mental state? And why does he keep stopping me from learning about the past of this apartment? After exchanging some polite greetings, I waved goodbye to Mu Yulu. But this meeting didn't ease my doubts at all. Instead, it put me on high alert. That very night,
I had a really terrifying
in
dream.
the dream, I stood in thick white fog. I couldn't see anything around me. I heard a voice both familiar and strange, shouting fiercely in a quarrel. Liu Ruyan, I treated you as my friend. How dare you touch this sum of money? Mu Yulu, are you crazy? Ruyan, please help me one more time. Just the last time. I promise I'll make up for the shortfall. No way, this is the client's money. You are committing a crime. So you're forcing me to die then. The quarrel got more and more intense. Finally, I heard a heavy, dull thud, and the sound of something falling to the ground. Then everything went dead silent. I jolted awake from the dream. My heart was pounding wildly. My back was ice cold. That dream felt way too real. Moyulu. In that dream, Liu Ruyan called out this exact name. I turned on the light and found the study door ajar. I clearly remembered closing it before bed. I walked inside and saw the locked drawer at the bottom of the desk was actually open right now. Inside lay a black leather diary. My heart skipped a beat. Is Liu Ruyan guiding me? I opened the diary with trembling hands. Most of the diary content was about financial investment and some trivial daily matters. I flipped through it quickly. Finally, in the latter half of the diary, I found a name that appeared very frequently. Mu Yulu. The diary recorded that Liu Ruyan and her business partner cooperated on an investment project together.
Later, she found out.
Mu Yulu embezzled a large sum of money behind her back to trade high-risk cryptocurrency and ended up losing all the money, leaving a huge financial hole. Liu Ruyan wrote in the diary, I can't believe Mu Yulu would do such a thing. Years of trust are worthless in front of greed. I must make her responsible for her actions, no matter what the consequences are. This was her last diary entry. Mu Yulu. My blood ran cold instantly. I took the diary and went back to the living room. I asked Liu Ruyan into the air with a trembling voice. Is Mu Yulu the one who killed you? Right after I finished speaking, the temperature of the whole room dropped suddenly. The crystal chandelier overhead started shaking violently. The clock on the wall fell to the ground, making a harsh, shattering noise. This was the strongest reaction I had ever seen from her. But this reaction confirmed all my guesses. Liu Ruyan didn't die of an accident. She was murdered, and the murderer, who's still at large. Real estate agent, Mu Yulu. The truth was like an ice-sharp knife, slicing through the illusion of my peaceful life. I looked at this home that Liu Ruyan had kept, completely spotless. For the first time, I felt a bone-chilling cold. I can't just sit by and do nothing. Lin Bei, don't be a coward. Don't worry, Liu Ruyan. I'll make sure she goes where she deserves to be. The lights in the room stopped flickering and returned to a warm tone. I took a deep breath and started making a plan. I needed evidence. But not enough to convict her. I needed to make Jo Mayulu expose her flaws herself. I used being interested in investment and wealth management, and wanting to ask an expert for advice as an excuse to contact Mu Yulu again. This time, I arranged to meet her at a noisy open-air cafe and turned on my phone's recording function in advance. You're so motivated, Brother Lin. You just got a new job and already started thinking about investment. I can't help it. I've been scared of being poor. Mostly it's because you have good taste, Sister Mu. You recommended such a great house to me. It changed my luck for the better. Speaking of which, I'm still very curious about the former owner, Miss Liu. I heard she was also a financial elite when she was alive. Did she also do investments? I stared closely at Mu Yulu's eyes. When I mentioned the name Liu Ruyan, her pupils contracted almost imperceptibly. Yes, Miss Liu was an outstanding talent. What a pity the good die young. Recently at home, I found some diaries and notes she left behind.
Lots of professional terms in them are too hard for me to understand.
You know her well, Sister Mu. Can you help me take a look? I threw out the bait deliberately. Mu Yulu's face finally showed a tiny subtle change. Her hand holding the coffee trembled slightly. That's a diary, you know? It's someone else's personal belongings. We'd better not snoop around casually. Brother Lin, you live in that building. Haven't run into anything weird, have you? Weird stuff? Like what? Like hearing strange sounds in the middle of the night. Or things moving on their own. Stuff like that. She kept her voice very low. There was a hint of probing in her eyes. My heart sank. She was testing me. Testing if I actually knew about Liu Ruyan's existence. Nope, I've been sleeping like a log. Probably because I have a really strong birth chart, I guess. We were both testing each other through that whole meal, but neither of us got the answer we wanted. Ever since that day, I felt like a pair of invisible eyes had been watching me. On my way home from work, I always heard footsteps not too far behind me, but when I turned around, there was nothing there. The supernatural incidents at home also started turning hostile. No more neatly done chores and thoughtfully left-on lights. In the middle of the night, I'd hear knife sharpening from the living room. Again and again. On the bathroom mirror, a bright red, bloody handprint would suddenly appear, like someone had just struggled to climb out of it. I knew Liu Ruyan didn't do this. The supernatural stuff from Liu Ruyan had a sense of order and an awkward kind of gentleness, but these new ones were full of pure malice and intimidation. Mu Yulu must have come up with some trick, or hired someone to deliberately play haunted to scare me into leaving the place. She was scared. She was afraid I'd go through Liu Ruyan's belongings and find something I shouldn't see. One late night, I woke up from a nightmare and saw that on my bedroom window was covered in a thin layer of fog, and words were slowly forming on the fog. It was Liu Ruyan. She used all her strength to write 3 words on it. Danger, leave. Her handwriting wasn't as strong as it used to be. It was all wobbly and crooked, like it could disappear any second. My heart twisted hard. She was protecting me, even though she was trapped here herself. The first thing she thought of was still getting me out of this dangerous mess. I walked over to the window and wiped those 3 words away with my hand. Facing the cold glass, I said softly but firmly, I'm not leaving.
This is our home.
The ones who should leave are other people. Next day, I took a day off and stayed at home. I ordered a few tiny hidden cameras disguised as phone chargers and ornaments online. One was pointed right at the front door. Another was placed in the corner of the living room. The last one was hidden on the bookshelf in the study. 3 days after I installed the cameras, Mayulu called me. Brother Lin, are you home? The gas company is running safety inspections across the area. As your agent, I need to come with them to check your gas pipeline conditions. When would be a good time for you for the inspection? What a perfect excuse. She could get into the house openly and lay groundwork for her next plan at the same time. I forced down the disgust I felt. Sure, I'm home all day today. You can come anytime. After I hung up, I left a message for Liu Ruyan right away. I wrote on a sticky note, "She's coming. We'll play it by ear later." After I finished writing, I put the note in the most obvious spot in the living room. Half an hour later, the doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole and saw Mu Yulu. I opened the door and pretended to welcome her warmly. "Thanks for coming, Sister Mu." "No trouble at all. No trouble at all. It's all for the residents' safety." The second she stepped into the room, her gaze never stopped moving. She was like a venomous snake, scanning the living room, dining room, balcony. Finally, her gaze landed on the closed door of the study. She walked towards the kitchen. I followed right behind her. She pretended to check the gas stove and water heater, tapping and knocking on them. But her mind was definitely not on that. Just then, a dining chair next to her feet
suddenly slid half a meter backwards.
"Who's there?" Mu Yulu turned around, face as white as a sheet. But the living room was completely empty. "What's wrong, Sister Mo?" Nothing. I must have imagined it." She forced herself to stay calm, but a thin layer of cold sweat broke out on her forehead. That just proved she had a guilty conscience. Someone who hasn't done anything wrong? How could you get that scared by a moving chair? "I'm going to the bathroom." Through the reflection of a mirror in the corner of the living room, I kept my eyes glued to her every move. She took 2 steps forward, then suddenly changed direction and tiptoed toward the study. Here she comes. Her target is Liu Ruyan's belongings left in the study. My heart was in my throat. Just as her cell phone was about to touch the study door handle. Bang! The bathroom light bulb suddenly blew out. Then the sink faucet, the shower head, the toilet tank. Every place that can let out water. All turned on automatically at the same time.
Mu Yulu let out a shrill scream.
She scrambled away from the study door. I rushed over right away, pretending to be even more panicked than her. "What's wrong, Sister Mo?" The bathroom in the house." "Oh, this happens all the time." "You'll get used to it. Probably just old wiring." Mu Yulu stared at the messy bathroom, then glanced at the eerily quiet living room. Mr. Lin. Looks like the pipes are fine. But no, I have something to do at work. I'll head out first." She almost ran for the door like she was escaping, shoved her shoes on haphazardly. The second she pulled the door open and turned to leave, she glanced back at me. There was no pretense in that look at all. It was cold and vicious, filled with undisguised murderous intent. My heart skipped a beat, but I didn't flinch. I looked right back at her calmly. The door slammed shut with a bang. I leaned against the back of the door, letting out a long breath. My legs went weak. I almost fell to the ground. The sticky note in the living room that said "play it by ear" floated silently to the floor. I walked over and picked it up. I won the first round. I immediately opened my phone to check the camera playback. The video clearly recorded Mu Yulu sneaking toward the study, and that final murderous look she gave. Now I had one more piece of evidence. But I knew that this failed test would only make her even more crazed. Next time, she wouldn't bother with any pretense at all. The storm came faster than I expected. After Mu Yulu's test failed, she completely tore off her hypocritical mask.
She knew this house was haunted.
So she decided to turn this to her advantage. She was going to repeat her old trick. Make me die in a carefully staged accident. Gas poisoning. 2 a.m. I was woken up by a heavy, dull thud from the living room. It sounded like someone had climbed in through the balcony and made that noise when they landed. It's her, Mu Yulu. I held my breath, sneaked out of bed, and hid behind the bedroom door. Peeking out through the crack in the door, a dark figure was moving slowly in the living room, holding a toolkit in her hand. She walked straight toward the kitchen. My heart was pounding like crazy. It almost jumped out of my throat. I forced myself to calm down. I felt for my phone on the nightstand, turned the screen brightness all the way down, and dialed 110 with trembling fingers. The second the call connected, I didn't say a word, just held the receiver toward the living room. This was a survival trick I'd seen before. If you call the police without speaking, the operator will assume you're in danger and track your location. After I did all that, I immediately opened the camera app and turned on the live stream function. Then I sent the live stream link, along with a pre-written distress message, to my buddy Ji Bochang with one click. "Bochang, if something happens to me, this is the proof. Don't call the police, wait for them to contact you." After sending the message, I clutched my phone tightly, hid behind the door, didn't dare move an inch. In the living room, Mu Yulu had already reached the kitchen door. She was going to go in and mess with the gas lines. The second she pushed the kitchen door open, something weird happened out of nowhere. Bang! A loud noise. The kitchen door slammed shut right in front of her. Muyu Lu was startled by this sudden change, then quickly realized what was happening, and started banging on the door like crazy. Open the door. Open the damn door right now. Whoever's in there, get the hell out. I peeked through the door crack. I saw that in the air of the living room. A translucent figure was flickering violently. It was Liu Ruyan. Her figure was dimmer than ever before, like a wisp of smoke about to be blown away by the wind. I could tell just closing and locking that door had drained almost all of her strength. She was buying me time with her very existence. Muyulu couldn't smash the door open, so he started kicking it. The old wooden door creaked like it was about to fall apart. With every impact, Liu Ruyan's figure got even more translucent. I saw her originally clear outline started to blur and fade.
My heart felt like it was being squeezed hard by an invisible hand.
It hurt so bad I couldn't breathe. I couldn't hide anymore. I couldn't just watch her sacrifice herself to protect me and be completely wiped out of existence. A surge of courage came out of nowhere and washed away all my fear in an instant. I looked around. My gaze landed on the corner of the room, the heavy frying pan I used for workouts. I dashed over, grabbed that heavy frying pan, and held it tight with both hands. Right at that moment, there was a loud bang. Muyu Lu kicked the kitchen door open. He looked like an enraged beast. He charged out with bloodshot eyes. He spotted me and saw the frying pan in my hand. Oh, you little brat, you want to fight back? Both of you are going to die today. He lunged at me with a knife. I didn't back up. I ran straight towards him instead. I used every ounce of strength I had and slammed the frying pan hard against his head. There was a deep, loud clang. Muyu Lu fell to the ground right away. At the same time, out of the corner of my eye, the last faint wisp of Liu Ruyan's figure completely turned into tiny specks of starlight and dissipated into the air. He's down, but she's really gone. In the air, a note slowly drifted down and landed at my feet. It had familiar blood-red words on it, but they carried a gentleness I'd never felt before. Protection fee, 1 life. This one's on me. All my strength left me in an instant.
The frying pan slipped out of my hand,
Making a loud clattering sound. I dropped to my knees, staring at that blood-written bill. Tears poured down my face, but I couldn't make a single sound. Sirens got closer and closer. I was saved, but my world was completely empty. The police arrived just in time and arrested the unconscious Muyu Lu. I was treated like a hero who took down a criminal. My blanket was taken back to the police station. The recordings from my phone, the footage from the home security camera, and the live stream link I sent to Ji Bochang all became solid evidence that would pin Muyu Lu to the pillar of guilt for good. In the interrogation room, facing a kind female police officer, I told her everything that happened. Of course, I left out the part about Liu Ruyan existing. I only said that after I rented this house. I always felt like the house had some sort of warning function, like the lights would flicker when there was danger, and things would fall over. Same thing this time. The kitchen door suddenly closed on its own, which bought me time to call the police and fight back. Maybe the previous owner's spirit is watching over me and looking out for me. The female officer didn't ask further questions. She just patted my hand sympathetically. With these clues, the police soon got a breakthrough from Muyu Lu and got him to talk. His phone call records, bank statements, and fund transactions with underground casinos all clearly pointed to one truth. Years ago, he lost all his money playing the stock market. He not only embezzled a huge sum of money from his client, who was none other than Liu Ruyan, he also owed a huge amount of gambling debt. After Liu Ruyan found out and told him to turn himself in, he had nowhere to run, so he decided to kill her. First, during a fight with Liu Ruyan, he knocked her unconscious with a heavy object. Then he faked a gas leak scene
and made it look like a perfect accident.
All these years, he had been working as a real estate agent to keep an eye on this house. He was scared a tenant would find some clues. When he realized I might have somehow connected with Liu Ruyan, he decided to kill me. He tried to use the same method to make me the new secret of this house. A few days later, all major news outlets reported on this long unsolved murder case that was unexpectedly cracked. Liu Ruyan's name was finally no longer associated with words like the ridiculous term accidental death anymore. Her name has finally been cleared. I sat in the taxi and watched the news on my phone and let out a long sigh. I felt relieved, but mostly empty. I went back to that apartment again, back to the place that she and I called home. I pushed the door open. It was spotless inside. Sunlight streamed through the spotless floor-to-ceiling windows. Everything was exactly the same as when I left. Traces of her were everywhere. Neatly stacked books, spotless floors, well-sorted seasonings in the kitchen. But I knew she was gone. No more snarky notes about splitting food costs. No more warm lamps left on with notes about separate electricity bills. There would never be that blurry figure in a red dress, ironing my clothes late at night. For the first time, I felt this overwhelming, suffocating loneliness and grief. I walked to the sofa and hugged the cushion she always sat against and buried my face deep in it and finally broke down crying. When I cried myself out, I started tidying up the place. She was such a clean freak, I thought. I can't leave this place a mess. When I was cleaning the study, under that diary, I found another black ledger. It was the expense ledger between her and me. Every entry was written clearly. May 10th, split dinner cost.
Lin Bei owes 25 yuans.
May 12, did dishes. Lin Bei owes 5 yuan. May 15, took out trash. Lin Bei owes 10 yuan. I flipped through page after page, laughing through my tears. That cheapskate. When I got to the last page, I thought it would be the total amount I owed. But it wasn't a bill. It was a line of writing, written in black gel pen, still elegant, but with a softness I had never noticed before. Lin Bei, live well. Eat on time. Don't miss me. The second I saw these words, my defenses completely crumbled. I held the ledger and squatted on the floor, crying like a kid abandoned by the whole world. Life went back to so-called normal. I kept going to work at that company I'd always dreamed of. Every day, I sat in my tiny office cubicle, playing the part of an emotionally stable adult. No one knew what a life and death nightmare I'd been through, and no one knew how important a person I'd lost. I didn't move. Jiba Chang tried to talk me out of staying several times. He said this place holds too many sad memories. I should move somewhere else and start over. I turned him down. I said, this is my home. I started unconsciously following the rules Liu Ruyan and I had. After eating, I washed the dishes right away, wipe them dry and put them back in the cupboard. When the trash bag is full, I throw it out immediately. I never let it sit by the door overnight. I started learning how to cook, even though it tastes terrible. I always make enough for 2 people. I put the other portion on the empty seat across from me. Then I ramble onto the empty air about what happened at work that day. The weird clients I met, the project bonus I got. I know I'll never get a response. No more teasing me about my tastes written on the mirror. No more classical music playing when I'm sad. But I still stubbornly keep all these habits. Like if I do, she never left me. I started working like crazy, harder than I ever had before.
I landed several big projects.
Got promoted and a raise. My career was taking off. My colleagues say I'm a completely different person, calm and decisive, like a machine that never gets tired. Only I know. I wanted her to know that I really am living well. I used my first big project bonus to go to the cemetery in the suburbs. I found Liu Ruyan's grave. In the photo, she looked younger than I imagined, wearing a red dress, with delicate features, a faint smile playing on her lips. She was a very beautiful woman. I laid a bunch of white chrysanthemums in front of the grave. Then I took out a bill printed on A4 paper from my bag and burned it in the fire pot. It said rent, utilities, security fee, emotional distress damages. Total, a lifetime. Liu Ruyan. All paid off. Next lifetime, it's my treat. The firelight lit up my face. I smiled, but tears rolled down my cheeks. After getting all this done, I thought the story between her and I would end right here. Until that day, I worked overtime till late night for an urgent project. I dragged my exhausted body home and opened the door. It was totally dark inside. I reached for the wall switch out of habit. Click. The familiar floor lamp in the living room turned on. Warm, gentle light. I froze on the spot. My gaze slowly drifted to the dining table in the living room. A cup of steaming hot milk was sitting on the table. White steam curled up slowly under the light. My mind went completely blank. I stood there like a statue, frozen at the entryway, too scared to move.
I didn't even dare to breathe.
Everything in front of me was so familiar, yet so unreal at the same time. Is this a hallucination? My heart, which had been silent for so long, started pounding hard again. I tentatively used a voice almost like a whisper and called out Liu Ruyan with a trembling voice. Liu Ruyan! The living room was eerily quiet. Only that cup of milk kept steaming non-stop like it never gets tired. I lowered my eyes in disappointment. Of course I was overthinking. I gave a self-deprecating smile. I was just about to change my shoes. Right at that moment, I saw that next to the milk cup. On the sticky note I used to leave her messages. Something seemed to be appearing slowly. I held my breath, staring fixedly at that tiny yellow note. A line of familiar handwriting written with a black gel pen appeared clearly word by word. Light keeping fee, 5 yuan. Milk fee, 15 yuan. Settle at the end of the month. The second I saw the line settle at the end of the month, my tears burst out instantly. I couldn't hold it anymore. I cried and laughed at the same time. Lu Ruyan, you little cheapskate, you total miser! Under the light, the figure I'd been missing day and night briefly took a solid form, clearer than it had ever been before. Though it was still semi-transparent, I could clearly see she was wearing a red dress, with that familiar doting smile on her face. She didn't say a word, but her eyes said everything. It turned out that her saving me that day didn't make her soul vanish completely. It just used up all of her power and put her in a state similar to deep sleep. It was my longing for her. It was me living well day after day. It was me stubbornly keeping this home intact. These strong thoughts were like endless energy. That woke her up from the deep sleep little by little. Why don't you leave? Your grievances have been cleared already. You can go to the place you're supposed to go. She didn't answer directly. Her figure floated to the shoe cabinet by the entryway and pointed at the cabinet door. I walked over confusedly and pulled open the shoe cabinet. Next to my pile of sneakers and canvas shoes lay a brand new pair of women's slippers that I'd never seen before. I bought them on a supermarket trip out of the blue last time. I didn't even know why I bought them back then. I just felt that this home
Should have a pair of slippers like this.
life felt like it was back to the starting point, but everything was totally different at the same time. I looked at her helpless smile and smiled along with her. Yeah, why would she leave? This is her home, and I'm her family. Sunlight streamed in through the window, lighting up the dust floating in the room, and lighting up the two souls that leaned on each other. We'll be each other's most special family, and keep living in this noisy city, writing our own cohabitation story, of course, along with that sweet account that we'll never finish settling.